Influential and controversial German philosopher Martin Heidegger said, "But every historical statement and legitimization itself moves within a certain relation to history, meaning history itself is generalization. History itself is and has always been based on relativity, and that means it's relative in nature and in its application, and that's why history cannot always be justified or legitimized because it's relative and conditional, and therefore it can be changed or twisted from time to time by different persons, and that's why we do not always get to read history as it takes place or as it happened in reality, but rather we only get accounts written by different historians or people who may not even have the knowledge of that era or the happenings of that time, or people who may have manipulated or twisted the real events and wrote what the governments or the politics wants them to write down. And that's why history is based on a relative. History is and has always been something which can be changed, manipulated, because it's relative. History is based on relativity to different events. History has always been relative and connected with one event to another event, and that's why there is no absolute truth in history. There is no absolute event or justice in history, because history has never done justice to anyone. Historical facts and historical statements have been written down by historians who may not always have complete or full knowledge of the events of the time, and they may also be manipulated by the influence of the governments of the different times and the politics of the different ages, and that's why history cannot always be trusted and taken for granted by everyone. So history itself is relative. History is relative within itself, and it moves on a certain degree of relativity because history is based on legitimization, and that legitimization and justification of historical events are relative, and that means they can be changed or manipulated